Good morning, Holy Trinity, and happy Thursday of the second week of Lent. I've been reflecting a little bit recently about almsgiving for a couple reasons. One is, I still haven't figured out what I'm doing for almsgiving this Lent. So, I really need to figure that out. But a couple of different videos have come up in our RCIA classes, and then some questions have come up as well, which have made me start reflecting on this. One of them, Father Mike Schmitz, was talking about the CRS Rice Bowl, and the fact that if you're throwing pennies into the CRS Rice Bowl and then patting yourself on the back because you're such a great Christian giving money during Lent, that you're probably doing it wrong. I think what he said was, when you open that up at the end of Lent, you better see silver and green. This is meant to be, you're giving money to people who need money. So don't pat yourself on the back because you had some extra change in your pocket that you happen to drop in there. Actually give. Another question, and this one came up at RCIA just this past week, was how much is the right amount to give? We talk about tithing. Tithing literally means a tenth, and I think that a tenth is a good baseline to have. Who do you give that to, though? I've heard a variety of things. One is 5% to the church and then 5% to other charities. I'll tell you, if everyone who came to church here gave 10% of what they earn and what they receive, if they gave 10% of that to the church, we would find a way to use that for the good of the people of God. We would, we'd invest that in religious education, in faith formation. We would, youth ministry, and a lot of the giving that happens here at Holy Trinity obviously goes through our food closet, and that's ministry to the poor, those who are hungry. So it's not like we would just accumulate that money. We would find ways to use it. But 5%, that's another good way to do it. I know some people who will just take 10% off the top. I had a spiritual director who he talked about when he was growing up. His dad would say, we give 10% to the church and we don't worry about how that money's being used. We do what God asked us to do, and if they're not doing what God asked them to do, that's their problem, not ours. To some extent, I see the wisdom in that. You do want to make sure that your church is using your money well, and at Holy Trinity, I'm pretty sure we are. But at the same time, we do what God asks us to do, which is to give. And there is an incredible peace that comes from giving to God first before spending money on ourselves. God will never be outdone in generosity. I think that's a quote straight out of Scripture. If you give to God, you will have what you need to not only survive but thrive. And the more so because of that sense of rightness that comes from worrying about other people before worrying about ourselves. Even if you end up with less money, you're gonna feel better overall. So I just encourage you and myself, I still need to figure out, what am I gonna do for almsgiving this Lent? I've got my little post-it note with prayer, what I'm doing, fasting, what I'm doing. There's a couple things for each of those, and then almsgiving, and it's still blank, and it's 2 weeks into Lent, and I'll come up with something. If you have great ideas for me, feel free to share them. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Thursday of the second week of Lent.